Can they hear me? Can they hear me live out there? Next beat. That ain't the beat I want to do.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, natty ghosts, Beelers, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody gets shot. Working a hustling to get it, a get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater. Watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bang out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Von's crib. Eating funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper.
Welcome back, Deep Issuers. I am Josh Houslander. This is the Xcast, and this is the Deep Issue edition of the Xcast, episode number 54L, to be exact. With me, as always, is our producer, the man, the myth, the legend, the king of Empire Media, the emperor of Empire Media, the emperor of the Empire Media Kingdom. Adam Hernandez, our Deep Issues expert, is here as well. Ed Zaharsky. It's day 4,819 in the search for Tim Chevelday, and tonight's Deep Issue is perhaps not the deepest issue we've ever covered, but one of the funner ones for sure. Tonight's Deep Issue is the Zombie Apocalypse. Dun, dun, dun. What's up, Adam? What's up, Eddie?
Not much. And I think that this is one that, I have some stuff that may end up freaking people out a little bit.
Right, going a little deeper with it.
And I have something that kind of relates to something we talked about prior to, but it actually wasn't a deep issue that we
cool.
that we used to talk about this topic. It was actually a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the microchip technology that people in Sweden and that place in Wisconsin was...
people supposedly willingly getting microchips put in their bodies.
Yep,
They can,
getting it put in their wrists. Oh, just for the convenience.
That supposedly cannot possibly control you.
Yeah, it was. It was like for the stupidest. It was like for the stupidest reason too. It was like, it's so inconvenient having to have a swipe card around our neck.
You don't want to carry one of those pesky credit cards around, don't you? Let me just put something inside your body.
To me, that didn't make much sense. But it kind of relates back to that.
And I feel like this is important to preface this tonight on, for the deep issues, is that this is like Adam's bread and butter. Adam loves zombies. He loves this stuff. Adam has been anticipating Pumpkin letting us do this one for quite some time. So
I didn't know Ed was a little bit of a connoisseur when it comes to zombie.
I didn't know that either. I mean, you're a Walking Dead fan, though, right?
Yeah.
Or a Walking Dead watcher.
Watcher, yeah.
I know you're a fanboy about everything, so all the stuff you watch, you pretend to hate, but...
Yeah.
but no, you guys, of the three of us, I'm definitely probably the least well-versed when it comes to zombies.
And I'm kind of surprised, because you're a nerd.
I'm a huge nerd,
I'm surprised you haven't gotten into the world of zombie.
I'm a colossal nerd of Potsy-like proportions.
You don't watch The Walking Dead?
I do not.
Really?
No.
Have you watched it at all?
I have watched every episode of The Walking Dead I've watched with Adam.
Oh.
Which is what, 3 or something?
Perhaps.
We were hanging out here the one night after the show or before the show, or maybe when we were supposed to be doing a show. I don't know.
It's worth watching for a few seasons.
Yeah,
I don't know that I would binge watch to get caught up.
Every episode I watched with Adam and his wife, and I thought it was cool. Like, it's neat. And I'm a comic book nerd from way back in the day, and some of my buddies who are big-time comic nerds, I've checked out a book or two, of it, but never read, like, in sequence or anything, just kind of, be like, gotta read this, and, I've checked it out, stuff, so, it was kind of weird being, like, a comic nerd like I'd talk to like the Walking Dead guys who are watching, and they'd be like, "Oh, the new character Michonne," and I'd be like, "Oh, I know that. I know Michonne because like I've read a couple comics, you know." But I don't know much about it. And I don't know where the show has gone at this point. Another thing that I think is really important to point out, like before we get into the crux of the deep issue here, is that I think when we're talking about zombies, or a lot of times when people are talking about the zombie apocalypse or a pending zombie apocalypse in any manner of a true form, I think we're not talking about zombies in the traditional sense. Because in the very traditional sense, a zombie is a dead person who rises from the grave. You know, it's somebody that, you know, is buried, and then the zombies start coming out of the graves. This is like the traditional horror movie, horror book idea of the zombie. And nowadays when somebody says zombie apocalypse, when people are talking zombies, I don't really think that's what they're talking about. Do you guys agree with that statement?
Yeah, that there's basically about a 0% chance of anything like that ever happening. That's not really the scenario.
I mean the true, and if I'm using the wrong terminology here, I apologize, or I will stand corrected. But I mean the true like George Romero zombie, or the true, like 1940s, 1950s zombie. That isn't really what we're talking about now when we talk about zombie apocalypse. I mean, to me, the only reason to fear that is, from a biblical sense, the dead are rising from the grave and the end of the world is coming, and it's all over with, basically.
Mm-hmm. You're more so referring to a situation like, was it like the Omega Man or 21 Days Later or World War Z or something like that, where it's not just people popping out of the graves, but some widespread sort of zombie of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, a very supernatural idea.
Something that is like some worldwide I don't want to say tragedy. Epidemic, there you go, that happened.
That's more the traditional or the more modern sense of what a zombie is, or a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, because zombie, I mean, it's a Haitian term, I believe, that, bringing back the dead through witchcraft, which... No,
and there are actually, I didn't really do much research on this prior week, but I have in the past. The Haitian idea is they truly believe they can make zombies, and they have recorded things of making zombies. But to me, it's kind of basically they, in essence, because of because of the medicine they're using, they kill somebody, then they bring them back. To me, whenever I've heard about it, it just sounds like, you brought them back and they're brain dead now. Like you screwed them up so bad that now they're brain dead and they seem like a zombie. And that's, but yeah, a zombie is just kind of any just kind of brainless being, brainless former human walking around wreaking havoc.
So,
in essence,
most people.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we can definitely get into that. But so I guess I ask you guys, because you guys are zombie experts, and I guess you guys are already kind of saying it, but what is a zombie? Like, what is a zombie? When we're talking about zombie apocalypse, what is a zombie? The basics, the specific, not necessarily the specifics, but the basics as to what's a zombie? What am I supposed to be afraid of?
Someone who generally is a cannibal, mindless, and has a one-track mind towards eating human flesh.
Or at the very least, killing you.
Killing you, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Usually consuming you, though.
Okay.
Yep, the most primitive aspects of human functioning, or in any sense, anything that's living.
And a zombie is undead, but a zombie can be killed, right?
Well, I guess in the traditional sense, you have to actually die and then be reanimated in order to be that traditional zombie that goes by the actual term. Which is why you look at some of these movies coming out, like even World War Z. I mean, World War Z wasn't. I mean, those weren't actual zombies. Those were things that were just infected, and all of a sudden turned into these mindless cannibals.
They didn't technically die.
They didn't technically die.
They were people, and they turned into this.
Yeah, same thing with 28 Days Later. I know the Romero stuff was real down the center when it came to zombies. Walking Dead, that's very that's down the center when it comes to zombies. But
so what we're majorly concerned with here when we got to prep for our imminent zombie apocalypse here is that there's going to be people that are going to get really nasty, and then all hell's going to break loose, and we'll have to, the very few of us who didn't become zombies will have to protect ourselves against the 90% of the population or whatever that are now zombies and are out to get us.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Another thing I was going to kind of bring up with this is, well, you know what? Never mind. I guess. Where do you want to go with this, Adam? Actually, let's break into some of this stuff because I know you got a lot to really kick us off with.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with a zombie apocalypse, I think the biggest question that anybody has with it is whether or not a zombie apocalypse can actually happen. And, when we see it in the movies, usually it's some type of, widespread epidemic that ends up consuming humanity and it turns people into these zombies. Which I always find funny because usually in the movies and stuff, they never refer to them as zombies. They always refer to them as something else. Never zombies.
The Walking Dead, they're walkers, right?
In Walking Dead, they're walkers or they're biters or, something like that. But this website, Cracked.com, came up with 5 scientific reasons a zombie apocalypse could actually happen. And this actually came out almost 10 years ago, October 29, 2007. So almost 10 years ago. But they go over 5 different, like I said, scientific aspects that could lead to a zombie apocalypse. And reading through it it's actually pretty... It's pretty nuts, the stuff that they come up with. Not nuts in the sense that, that could never happen, but nuts in the sense that, wow, when you think about it, something like that maybe could happen. The first one they're talking about are brain parasites, notably toxoplasmosa, which is something that...
sounds gross.
That affects animals, but it also affects humans. According to this, that... around half of the human population has toxoplasmosis, and half of the population may not know that they have it. More so in the sense that right now, for the most part, it doesn't seem like toxoplasmosis to humans is that serious. But what they did talk about here is what it does to rats. Now, there's this certain... toxoplasmosa strain that what it does is it's actually able to infect rats and control the rats so they actually go towards something that'll eat them, like a cat. Because this disease knows that it could only survive inside of a cat's intestine. So when the cat ends up eating an infected rat, it's able to live inside the cat's intestine. What makes this so concerning, according to them, is not so much that a rat has this in the sense that it's just a rat, but rats are closer to humans than one might think, which is the reason why companies, biofirms test on rats. So there's that one aspect. Neurotoxins is
so what we're kind of going with this idea that could happen on a human level, where we would be drawn to something that would eat us, or something would be drawn.
Exactly. They're talking about this toxoplasmosa kind of taking over the brain and directing the brain into doing something that the host usually wouldn't want to do.
Either directing something that we would eat towards us, or directing us towards something that would eat us.
Exactly. And again, too, I mean, a lot of this is resonating off of the notion that this stuff can mutate and it can take on another form. Because we've seen it happen all the time, too, especially with viruses and diseases and so on and so forth. We've seen them take on different forms based off of medicine that has been developed to originally combat them. But another one is neurotoxins. And they say, what are they? There are certain kinds of poisons that slow your body functions to the point that you'll be considered dead, even to a doctor. And then they put in quotations, okay, maybe not a good doctor. The poison from fugu, Japanese blowfish, can do this. And
this is basically what Liam Neeson does in the A-Team, right?
Yeah. But this is something that I guess is happening more so than you might think. This stuff has happened in Haiti. They say that's where the word zombie comes from. There are books about it. The most famous ones by Dr. Wade Davis, Passage of Darkness, and The Serpent and the Rainbow. Yes, the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow is based on the guy's actual science stuff. How much of it was fact? Well, there was one scene where they strapped the guy naked to a chair and drove a huge spike through his balls. We're hoping that wasn't true. They go on, though,
yikes,
to say that on the one hand, it's already fucking happened, so that earns it some street cred right off the bat. But even if some evil genius intentionally distributed alkaloid toxins to a population to turn them into a shambling mindless horde, there's no way to make these zombies aggressive or cannibalistic. And yet. But let me see here. There's more to this. What else do we have here? The rage virus. And this is something we actually saw in the movie 28 Days Later. And they relate this more so to, I'm sure we can all remember the mad cow epidemic that happened in the more so in the United Kingdom. And what that does is they kind of list off some of the symptoms in there. Changes in your walking, hallucinations, lack of coordination, muscle twitching, seizures, and rapidly developing delirium or dementia.
Which, by the way, if you've spent enough time in the United Kingdom, you can't even donate blood. It's that serious.
Yeah.
That you would spread it around.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's one of the other things too when it comes to a zombie apocalypse. And when they're talking about this right here, is it has all the hallmarks of being able to spread like a zombie apocalypse, like you might see in a movie or something. Through bodily fluids, whether they be blood, saliva from a bite, anything else.
God, I love the Brits, man. I love my English friends out there, but British history was one of my things I studied. In college is one of my specialties. But this is just more proof that those Brits, man, they've just been on that island too long. I mean, that's a tiny little island, man, and they've been on there for a long time. I mean, people wonder why the royal family's so ugly. I mean, come on, man. They just, branch out. Okay. Marry somebody who's not from England, all right?
Two more here. Neurogenesis. What is this? All about the...
Is that like a modded Sega system?
No. No. This goes back to the notion of stem cell research. The whole thing they said with stem cells is they can basically be used to regenerate dead cells. Particularly of interest to zombieologists like ourselves is neurogenesis, the method by which they can regrow dead brain tissue. They go on to say you can see where this is going and how can this result in a zombie apocalypse. You wanted the undead to make an appearance in this article. Well, here you go, you creepy bastard. Science can pretty much save you from anything but brain death. They can swap out organs, but when the brain turns to mush, they're gone, right? Well, not for long. They've already been able to regrow the brains of comatose head trauma patients until they wake up and walk around again. Yeah. Couple that with the new ability to keep a dead body in a in a state of suspended animation so that it can be brought back to life later, and soon we'll be able to bring back the dead as long as we get to them quickly enough.
So what you're saying is George Bush was right, stem cells are bad.
That sounds great, right? Well, this lab dedicated to reanimation research, yes, that's what they call it, explains how the process of reanimating a person creates a problem. It causes the brain to die off from the outside in. Now, the problem with that is the outside being the cortex, the nice part of the brain, basically, what makes humans, which leaving the inside part of the brain, which controls basic motor function and primitive instincts beyond.
Okay, so stem cells are bad, okay?
So there's that, and then finally what I was talking to you earlier, Josh, and that was the, what was it here? The nanobots.
Okay.
Now the nanobots...
This is a scary one.
This was the scary one. This is probably the scariest one of all, because what this is are scientists developing, basically making android cells in the human body. And what they talk about here, scientists have already created a nano-cyborg by fusing a tiny silicone chip to a virus. The first thing they found out is these cyborgs can operate for up to a month after the death of the host. Notice how nanoscientists went right for zombification even at this early stage. They know where the horror is. According to studies, within a decade they'll have nanobots that can crawl inside your brain and set up neural connections to replace damaged ones. Remember, this is 10 years ago, so
Sure.
We're within the decade, or beyond the decade, or still within it, because it's October was when this article was written. That's right, the nanobots will be able to rewrite your thoughts. What could possibly go wrong, they say? Chances this could cause a zombie apocalypse. Someday there will be nanobots in your brain. Those nanobots will be programmed to keep functioning after you die. They can form their own neural pathways, meaning they can use your brain to keep operating your limbs after you've deceased, and presumably right up until you rot into pieces mid-stride.
Jesus.
So what they're basically saying here is those nanobots will become so smart, they will know when the body is becoming unusable to the point where it can't walk, that they'll try and attack other hosts.
Now you have an army of undead people.
Yeah, so they'll try to attack other hosts to find a new host to live in.
Okay, so leave it to computers to turn us into zombies.
Well, it's funny because, like I said before, we're talking about different aspects of when technology goes too far. We were talking about, being implemented with these microchips. Well, I mean, being implemented with microchips is one thing. I mean, we all knew that was probably coming in some sense. But what's to stop people from taking a microchip and hooking it up and trying to fuse it with a living cell? Something they've already done. Like I said, this is 10 years ago. They successfully did this, I believe in the article they say, at the University of Nebraska is when they started doing this research. And computers, like we talked about too, I believe, was it last week, Josh, when Facebook was developing this?
No, Facebook had developed an AI system, and the AI system wrote its own language that the people couldn't understand, so they shut it down. But somebody's gonna turn it back on, though.
And again, if you relate this to those Android cells that they are somehow making, what's to say a computer can't all of a sudden get smarter when it's connected to a cell and actually perform this task?
Okay, so the computers are definitely turning us into zombies. One could argue that that's already happened.
Yes, but from a different standpoint, though.
Right.
Not from an actual biological standpoint.
No,
more from a.
This is crazy stuff. So this actually, Adam, and this is what I thought you were going to do. You answered my question that I was going to ask. Is there any science behind this? And there is. There definitely is some potential science here. What you just said makes me want to get into one of the topics I got highlighted over here on my notebook, and that is the idea of doomsday prepping here. Because I'll be honest, I've always been more afraid that the robots or the computers were going to take over rather than the zombies. But okay, you know, maybe there's some science behind zombies. Maybe there's some science behind robots taking over. Maybe there's some political strife showing that extremists could take over or anarchy could just brew. So, to me, all right, you're doomsday prepping, right? We all got to be doomsday preppers. We all got to be preparing for the pending apocalypse. So if you're a proper doomsday prepper, are you trying to pick out like your weapons and your bunkers and the proper thing that can protect against any number of potential, potentialities here? Like, should you maybe be thinking about, well, what would be good? Not what would be good against zombies, what would be good against robots, what would be good against humans, what would be good against aliens. Should you be thinking about, like, what would be, like, a good happy medium that will be good for any of these things? Because you can't tell which apocalypse is going to happen first. Well, which apocalypse is going to get you.
According to, everything that I've looked at, it's especially within this Cracked article here, you're going to have to maybe try to prepare for two different types of zombies. I mean, there's fast zombies and there's slow zombies.
Right.
Obviously, the slow ones are going to be a lot easier to take care of. However, if they're like a 28 days later infected person or even a World War Z type infected person, then those kind are going to be a lot harder to contend with.
You almost can't even prep in that scenario. It's just going to be a matter of, are you in the right spot at the right time?
Sure.
Like, just hope that maybe you're out in the country when it happens, because your likelihood of surviving it would be higher in that case. But in any sort of fast zombie scenario, I think no matter what you do to prep, it's probably not going to.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I could fight some fast zombies. I mean, I think I could still fight them.
Could you fight hundreds of them?
Yeah. I definitely could not fight hundreds. I could fight dozens, though. I think I could take a dozen fast zombies, half a dozen fast zombies, and maybe a dozen slow zombies. I think just like put me in the ring. And
I'm sure. You know what, Josh? I'm sure you might be pretty good. I mean, you've used a gun. I'm sure you're a decent shot.
Yeah, I've had some weapons training for sure. I don't know. I know my favorite. I feel like this is something I have highlighted here too. You got to pick your preferred weapons. To me, the best zombie weapon. Guns are great. Gotta love guns. Guns are awesome. But the
guns also use bullets.
Right. The best zombie weapon is a katana blade.
That's what I was going to say.
Katana blade never runs out of bullets. Katana blade never runs out of bullets. So know how to use your katana blade.
You gotta know how to sharpen it though, because you're gonna do a lot of killing, and once it gets done, you want it to slice right through.
You definitely want to have some sharpening mechanisms at home for sure. You want to know how to sharpen it right too. You don't want to sharpen the face right off of it or weaken the integrity of it by shaving away the blade too much. Keep a nice sharp edge, and I mean it's important. It's important, So I mean, what's your guys' what's your zombie weapon? I mean, you can have more than one, but you can't have can't name them all.
Is hiding a weapon?
Well, if it had to be a gun, it had to be something small with a silencer on it. I don't want to.
Oh, will it attract zombies?
Yeah, I mean, because it seems like every zombie movie that you watch, guns are good for dealing with large groups of zombies, but you also run the risk of attracting more.
Okay, I mean, do you need a large caliber bullet to take a zombie? No. Okay.
You want probably something small and accurate.
Okay, so you want capacity.
Yep.
Okay.
So a shotgun probably wouldn't be.
Yeah, to me, people always talk shotgun. To me, shotgun is a terrible zombie weapon.
Unless you have a big group of them, maybe you're trying to plow through.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Okay, shotgun, you get at best 8 shots. You got 8 shots towards the zombies. Shotguns load very slow. So I do not like a shotgun for zombie weapon. I mean, if it's what you got, take it. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't take out a zombie with it, but I mean, you're talking, 5, 6, 8 shots at the most. is what you got here. If you go into the smaller shotgun, which will probably do the job, go with 20 gauge instead of 12 gauge, maybe you can get some more. But I don't see this as a great zombie weapon because, all right, you got a dozen zombies in the room. You don't miss. You're perfect. You take out 8. Now you got to load a shotgun. That takes a little bit. You can load them pretty fast, but not.
Also,
not like something with a magazine.
Yeah, I also like something that can be swung easily. So katana blade is the optimal choice for me.
Sure.
Then a baseball bat as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think a good old baseball bat I think would work.
Baseball bat for sure is good. An axe. An axe can be is very easily wheelable.
And you can use both ends.
A sledgehammer.
I think a sledgehammer would be too heavy.
Yeah, it's going to be heavy. You're going to get tired from that.
Yeah, if you get the right sledgehammer, though, I mean, you can do a lot of damage with a sledgehammer.
But how is it better than say a katana?
I prefer the katana, but I think I would maybe prefer a sledgehammer for a baseball bat.
Oh, I might agree with you there, because I think a baseball bat's probably not very durable. Even if you get an aluminum one, it's going to dent and deform.
Right, and I just feel like you connect with a sledgehammer, you did it. You've done the job. You can just destroy a head.
I don't think a sledgehammer would be that accurate though, because if you're swinging it, I mean, you've got to. I mean, this is the thing about zombies: you have to get the zombie in the head.
That is true, Adam, but I feel like you're a ball player. You're a very good baseball player. I'm a crappy baseball player, and I work construction for over 20 years. I'm better with a sledgehammer than a baseball bat. I'm pretty damn accurate with a sledgehammer. I can mess some people up. Or even just the big, framing hammer. Then it's lightweight. I mean, a big framing hammer, a death stick, something like that, a big 24-ouncer or something. You could.
I think a hammer would be good. My only thing about a hammer though is the proximity.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want something to keep me a little bit further away from a zombie.
Right.
Sorry,
Google what a death stick hammer looks like. A dead-on hammer or a death stick. They used to call them death sticks. I believe now they call them dead-on. That is a good zombie weapon.
I think the precedent was kind of set with the baseball bat with Negan, that it probably isn't the best weapon. I mean, his is covered with barbed wire, and even with him having all the time in the world of somebody kneeling in front of him swinging it as hard as he can, hitting somebody in the head, doesn't kill them in the first swing. And if that's a zombie, chances are you're not getting through to the brain and getting it.
You know what though? My theory behind that would be. And I think this would be the case with a lot of different zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Is if you're dealing with a zombie that has been decomposing, it's probably going to be a lot easier to break the skull and then get to the brain.
But they're not going to feel any pain to stop coming either.
So if it takes a second swing, they might rock.
They're not going to feel any pain, but. To get to the brain, though, it's going to be a lot easier than it would be on something that's more decomposed as opposed to a fresh zombie who just turned.
Right.
In fact, I think in the show, probably one of the reasons he picks that is because it's kind of a showy sort of, make people just get grossed out at how much he has to swing and bash people's brains in just to obliterate them. It's not a quick, clean kill. It's a very brutal death. It takes a lot of work.
I would definitely choose a aluminum baseball bat over a wood baseball bat.
Although, with the wood ones, you do have some options to, attach things to it a little easier.
Sure.
Drive railroad spikes through it or attach things.
Mm-hmm.
Another option I think is very good. I'm looking over in the corner. We do the majors live here as well, a sports show. And if you took a goalie stick and attach some stuff
Casey
to
Jones,
it,
huh?
Attached, some blades to it or something, that could be a home weapon that becomes very deadly. Because you got to think about it. Not all you people who are going to survive into the zombie apocalypse, not all you people who are out there, we're not all Bill Gates. You can't just have an entire shelter full of every single thing you need. So you're going to have to make do with what you may or may not have. So, but a katana blade, that's something you need to look at. If you're looking to buy a katana blade, make sure you get full tang. You got to go full time. A lot of the showy katana blades you see nowadays are they're meant for show, not for doing damage. I mean, sure, you could hurt somebody with them, but you're not just fighting one zombie here.
I love the idea of a katana blade, though.
Yeah. And actually, too, you want to, there's a lot of different, katana blade is kind of like some people just kind of use it as a blanket term for swords, but find out what sword is right for you. There's a lot of different swords out there. You need to take like your specific body frame.
Don't want it to be too
power,
big.
Yeah, you don't want too big, you don't want too small. You want it in there. If you are a small frame person, you might want to rock the wakasaki instead of the katana, which is the Japanese dress sword. Just as powerful, just shorter, and might get to you. If you're a bigger dude, might want to go with taki. It's a good one. Nodachi is another one. That's a Japanese field sword. That one's good. But the main thing you want to think about is, a quality sword, a good quality sword. Now, a tanto that is easy to wield, but again, that's kind of like what Ed said. You're getting really up close and personal. And I don't know if these zombies are the type that if they scratch you, you become a zombie. If they just bite you a little bit, you become a zombie. I don't know what the deal is here. Is this the type of thing where, they bite you on the hand? If you cut off your hand, you're okay.
So why is it that on some of them you're bit and then you're infected, but you can turn around and, slice open a different zombie, his guts will go all over you, get in your eye and your wounds, anything, and it's just business as usual.
That's something I never understood either, Ed. And usually like in the Walking Dead ones and in the George Romero one, zombies, something like that. I mean, you do something like that, it gets into a cut or it gets into your eyes, and you're right, nothing happens. The only way you can really turn is if you get scratched or if you get bit. Yeah. But in 28 Days Later, though, which, again, those technically weren't zombies, if you got any in your eye...
the drop in the eye.
Yep, the drop in the eye, getting blood inside of a wound in your mouth, and you would eventually turn. And turn quickly, too. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be like, you die, and then all of a sudden you slowly come back. The 28 Days Later zombies were, we're talking less than a minute.
Yeah. I actually think that's more of a realistic, not necessarily the fast zombies and turning that fast, but if I recall, they died pretty quickly too.
Which ones?
The 28 Days Later, like a month from now, if everybody turned a month from now, there's not going to be many zombies left.
Oh yeah,
most of them are dead.
No, yeah, and that's the other thing too is, I think that when we talk tonight, you kind of have to look at it from two different angles with this whole zombie apocalypse thing. Well, actually, three different angles. Can it actually happen? Is there science to back it up? If it does happen, can the government suppress it? And
of course, they made it to begin with.
Well, again, depending on which angle we want to go with here with that, and I knew that's something that you were gonna bring up. But three is, how long can these zombies be outlasted? Because yes, in the 28 days later theory or method or whatever it is you want to call it, you can outlast them because they will eventually starve to death.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that would be the case with other aspects of this too. Or take, for instance, if how well do zombies do in the cold? Mm-hmm. Will they eventually freeze to death? Or not freeze to death, but freeze to the point where they can no longer move. Kind of like the what was it? What was the pad Terminator in Terminator? Was it T-1000? Mm-hmm. Kind of like that.
Sure.
Will they be frozen? So,
unless it's the nanotechnology zombies, and they have some sort of mechanism of repairing the host cells, it almost has to be very short, just because of physiology. If you go and lay in your bed and you sit there for 2 weeks and you're fasting, you're going to wake up, you're going to be much skinnier, you're going to have a lot less energy, you're going to have you have a harder time moving around. You add injuries and wounds on top of that, and you just can't have a scenario where, like, say, The Walking Dead, where you have all these just hundreds and thousands of zombies walking around, and presumably they've been dead for months or years at this point and just been roaming, I mean, the energy has to come from somewhere. I mean, you can't just... they're not like these unlimited energy sources.
You would think, and I'm sure that would be the case to a point, but I think some of that might have to do with, what they're kind of talking about, the outer and the inner cortex. I'm no neuroscientist or anything like that, but I'd have to think that if you're tired, that may resonate more with your outer cortex of the brain, thinking that, that's I guess, to be more reasonable, you're going to start to shut your own self down, thinking that, I can't continue this anymore. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm going to go ahead and stop. But if the reason portion of your brain is gone and the only thing you're thinking about is food or feeding, then you'd have to figure that portion is going to go and get that by any means necessary, whether or not your legs are exhausted or, your eyes are exhausted or whatever, your arms are exhausted. It's going to keep on going just because it can't feel anything either.
Which is why I think you would actually last even less, because if you're that mindless that, a human would sit down and rest and conserve their energy, whereas a zombie just keeps moving, they're going to keep that metabolism going. And they're going to start to decay and eventually get to the point where they just are on the ground writhing and...
Sure, and that may come from the two different the two different classes of zombies.
It doesn't make for an exciting show either.
No, it doesn't. And I think it all depends, and I think that's part of the reason why The Walking Dead is so interesting too, because it can't be stopped. I mean, it's in everybody. I mean, it's and that's another thing too, is, if we're in the Walking Dead class of zombies here, where everybody has the virus that causes people to zombify when they die, then that's a much more, difficult circumstance to overcome, as opposed to trying to wipe out people who obtain this virus after the fact. So... I don't know. I guess there's a bunch of different variables. There's a bunch of different angles you can go through here. But the one that still scares me the most is the nanotechnology one, simply because you're just adding this entirely new variable that has been proven before to be able to learn on its own. And when a computer is able to learn on its own, then you're kind of opening Pandora's box for a bunch of different things that can possibly happen with something like that.
Isn't that kind of what the Walking Dead is, though? Isn't that kind of like the nanotechnology? Everybody, the nanotechnology spreads and gets inside of everybody's body, and then when they die, it reanimates them into that sort of zombie.
Yeah, but we don't know what's causing the Walking Dead zombies to we don't know how it happened, and they don't really know what how it occurred. The only thing that we know about it, judging back from the first season, is that it's able, whatever it is that these people have, it's able to awaken the brain, and like they said before in that Cracked article, just the innermost portion of the brain is the part that reanimates, in which and controls just the basic functions of I don't want to say human living, but just living in general, which is eating, basically. So,
well, yeah, because at that point they're just working purely off muscle memory, right?
Muscle instinct, yeah. I mean, that's it. And they go on to, and it's funny too, because if you watch The Walking Dead and you've watched, you've gone throughout the seasons, they were able to, do this study. I know it's kind of weird that we're talking about a TV show in this sense, but I don't know how this would transcend to an actual zombie apocalypse if it were to ever happen. But they study the zombies, and they came to find that the longer that a zombie was not exposed to food or not given the means to obtain food, the less they desired food. So,
okay.
wasn't that what was that one where the zombie can like be brought back by like love, where the zombie falls in love with the human girl and eventually becomes a real person. Is that kind of, wasn't that idea kind of in there, because there was like the really dark ones who were like really gone sort of thing?
Are you talking about the Walking Dead ones?
No, there's that movie. That,
no, I know the movie. I forget
what it's called.
I forgot what it's
wasn't
called.
that idea kind of in that movie? I think
it might have been.
Like,
and you know what they're trying to maybe kind of relate to something like that in The Walking Dead, when they're trying to see if they're able to stimulate any past memory with like pictures or music or something like that, but they weren't able to do that. They just became the mindless, cannibals that tried to eat you. So they weren't successful in that. But I know the movie that you're talking about. I never saw it. It looked really stupid. So I
thought the same thing. Actually, it was kind of good.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll see. I got to find out what it is first. But I don't know. Maybe it is good. I don't know.
Interesting. What was this movie called?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. All right, right on. Okay. So, zombie apocalypse is coming, Adam. What's your plan, man? What do you do? Zombie apocalypse breaks out.
Well, I get back to my wife and my kid.
Okay.
I scoop them up, and I probably start driving north.
Driving north. Okay.
I start going north. And before I leave, I get a weapon too. I try to grab a couple of things I might be able to use as a weapon. Grab some food, grab some water, and like I said, I start going north.
Okay, and we live in the Detroit area, so going north is kind of getting up to the
UP area.
Yeah, going away from civilization.
Away from civilization, right?
Okay.
Because if zombie movies, shows have taught me anything, it's stay away from urban areas.
Okay, and so zombies and water, you're kind of safe on the water, right?
I don't know, because in Dawn of the Dead, the new one, they tried to go to an island and it didn't work.
Well, it's because the zombies can just walk through the water, right? They'll walk along the bottom of the lake.
Well, The Walking Dead have shown too that zombies can survive in the water, but as far as them making their way to shore, that's an entirely...
I'm just thinking that, I mean, a zombie coming out of the water is going to be extremely slow moving, extremely easy. I've always thought one of the greatest vehicles to escape a zombie is the water plane. The planes that land on the water. You, in essence, have a thing that can be a boat and be in the center of a lake, but can also be in the air. And to me, that is the ultimate zombie escape vehicle. Of course, it runs out of fuel. You got to come down, all this stuff. But I mean, I'm thinking water plane. A plane that can land on the water in like Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, Lake Huron, up here in Michigan, is one of the best places to ride. I mean, the zombie, they walked along the bottom of 90 feet deep water, and what are they going to do? So they're alive down there.
The problem. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know of any lore where they can actually swim. So presumably in just about every scenario, you're safe in some sort of boat in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even if you're in a pontoon and you see zombies working their way up, you can take them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that you'd be pretty safe on the water, and you'd be safer on a secluded island, or safer on a secluded island than you would be, just about anywhere else. But the longer the zombie apocalypse goes on, the more, the less you could probably be concerned about zombies. The more you have to more so be concerned about other people, because
it's going to be exponential. It's going to be if you can survive the first couple weeks or month, you're past the zombie part, and you just have to worry about
other people,
somebody trying to kill you for food.
Exactly, kill you for food or other resources. So
food. This brings me to another question. This one is centered. This is directed towards you two. We were just talking about this before the show. This goes for Kyle as well, who's sometimes on the Deep Issues programs with us. You guys are all vegetarians. I'm the only one who's not a vegetarian. Adam, Kyle are all vegetarians. I know that you have your reasons, and that those reasons are really important for being vegetarians. Does that go out the window during an apocalyptic time? I mean, will you you come to my stronghold, you're hungry, you're looking for something to eat, and I got, burgers going, or rat burgers going, or something, doesn't mean you all of a sudden like it or prefer it, but do you ignore the idea that you are a vegetarian if necessary during the zombie apocalypse?
One of the reasons why I am vegetarian is because, a good part of me believes that you don't need meat anymore to survive. Mm-hmm. If a zombie apocalypse were the case, obviously, that may not be the case anymore.
Now you might need meat
exactly.
to survive.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you would at least, and one thing that I like to present when you're asking a question like this, because it's always easy to say like, no, I don't eat meat. Screw you, I don't care. But you got a wife, you got kids, you want them to survive. Are you going to give them meat?
Maybe. I mean, in the scenario you're presenting, if we're holed up in some sort of fort and we're getting extremely hungry and, our boat's tightening up, and
you send somebody out on a do or die potential suicide food run, and the only thing they come back with is like, sorry, all I could give was a bunch of beef jerky.
Yeah, it's like,
and you're not going to sit there and starve to death, right? You're going to eat it.
You've got cans of Spam or something, and it's like, okay, the animal's already dead. If I don't eat this, it doesn't matter about my health anyway, because I'm on the way out.
Yeah, I mean, because the idea that you could still like eat healthy is totally out the window. Whether you're a vegetarian or not a vegetarian, at this point, you gotta kind of.
There's so many things that grow wild, though, that it seems like, especially if you figure every single farm on the planet is essentially just being let go, that stuff's going to propagate, and you could probably forage for food fairly easily.
But you're on a boat.
Well,
you're going to need to eat fish, right?
I suppose in that scenario, seaweed's edible.
Yeah, but then you got to go down there where the zombies might be.
I
really, I'm just,
I like Josh's premise here, because I could only assume that if we were with Josh and it was Josh who had to go out for food, he'd probably go to a store or someplace where there's plenty of vegetables and just like racks of beef jerky, and be like, Josh would be like, you know what, fuck those guys, I'm just gonna get all beef jerky.
You're in a post-apocalyptic world here, though. And I'm just saying that you are going to have to eat things that potentially are not in your normal diet, simply because you don't have the ability to manufacture things. Getting a fresh vegetable, or anything fresh for that matter, isn't going to be doable.
But you bring up, I think you bring up a good point, because what do you see in basically all of these movies or all the books? Everybody goes and they raid the grocery store, and they're all, or their neighbor's bomb shelter or whatever, and they're all looking for this food. Who goes and raids the local blueberry patch, or farm, and goes and grabs stalks of corn or something like that? That those potentially could actually be very good sources of food, because there's a lot of people not necessarily thinking about that.
A lot more work and very difficult to do. And when you raid the grocery store when the zombie apocalypse happened 48 hours ago, or a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, or a month ago, you still have the chance to get some of that stuff. But when you're raiding a store and the zombie apocalypse started a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, it's going to be Snickers bars and beef jerky. It's going to, and Spam, and
or the plants that are continuing to grow.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying you don't eat that stuff too, but you have to, you have to be able to live here. You're.
Well, I think something that movies don't take into consideration too is making sure what you eat doesn't get you sick. and I think that you run a far less risk of eating vegetables and not getting sick than you would be eating meat.
5-year-old
Yeah.
Slim Jim.
I mean, but now you're eating wild stuff out in the fields. Who knows what, you know?
It depends on the scenario. I mean, does it if it goes in the food supply, you're screwed. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
And again,
No, I'm not saying that you'll become a zombie by eating it, but I mean, picking crops isn't that easy. I mean, it is, but we're talking about feeding a family here. We're talking about feeding a group of people, you know? I'm just saying that the idea that you could still have preferences about what you eat. I mean, I hate eggs. I hate them. Can't stand eggs. But, I mean, it's zombie apocalypse time. Somebody shows up with some eggs. Well, it looks like we're having eggs, you know? I mean, that's...
Technically, a lot of flowers and things we consider weeds are actually edible, and your body can obtain calories from it. And you might not like it, but if you're sitting there starving and the grocery stores are raided, maybe you stop on the side of the road and you eat some shitty weeds.
Hey, I mean, and it's good to have people around who know that stuff, too. I mean, listen, I work with a guy. Super cool dude. It's an Indian guy. Mm-hmm. Indian, Native American guy. I don't like to use the term Native American for other reasons because I think it's better to say Indian, but I say it to preference. I don't mean somebody from India. But, I mean, he's constantly just eating leaves and stuff like that off the, you know, and he said, oh, try these, try this, you know, and I do, you know, but he also grew up in that culture and he's very smart. He's a smart dude and he knows what you can't eat, too. Mm-hmm. You know, so, I mean, you know, I'm one of those guys that, like, I'll go just grab something. I'll grab something and eat it off a tree. But I mean, when I'm with him and he says don't eat that, I'm like, okay, if this guy's saying don't eat it, then don't eat it.
Do you know what people probably aren't going to raid? The library. Find a couple books on it.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure. I'll be chilling in the library. No, I mean, and hey, that's something you have to think about too when the zombie apocalypse breaks out. Libraries, old churches, things like that. These are kind of cool places to hang. You know, is these like older big buildings. If you are stuck in an urban area, yeah, sure, you want to get up north, but all this stuff. So, I guess one of my things is, so you guys think the zombie apocalypse happens. Are you good at this? Are you a good zombie apocalypse guy? Or are you zombie fodder? Because you gotta know that, okay, well, whatever, 80% of the people are zombies, and then of who's left, 80% of those people are gonna get chewed up by the zombies right away. So, I mean, are you guys good? Are you guys prepared? Or do you think you are zombie apocalypse material? Or do you think you're more zombie fodder?
Most likely zombie fodder. I think if I happen to be in the right spot, maybe like if I'm at home with my family when this is very apparently hitting, I've got a better chance of grabbing some stuff, getting out of there. Yeah. But just most likely it'll be at work and traffic will build up and it'll be hard to get home and I'm going to be thinking, oh God, my wife and kids are at home and I need to go there, and meanwhile they're going elsewhere to run, and you know, I just end up in this circle where I just end up getting killed.
Okay, so I mean, because like technology's gone, all right, they ate the cell towers, you know, because I actually think, and I could be totally off on this, I think I'm good zombie apocalypse material. I think the lifestyle I lead and the type of person I am, I think I'm decent zombie apocalypse material. I think I survived the initial. I mean, if I become a zombie because of the virus or something, well, then I'm screwed. Well, you can't control that. But I feel like if I lived through that first part, that I'm decent zombie apocalypse material. Adam, how about you, man?
I don't know. I think I have the potential to be good zombie apocalypse material. I think all of us, quite frankly, do. I mean, we're still relatively young.
Sure.
We're mobile.
That's a big thing, is not being fat. I mean, there are a lot of fat people out there these days, and I think they have the disadvantage when they're trying to run.
Yeah, I mean, remember poor Otis in The Walking Dead.
No, I'll take the fat outdoorsman that knows how to fish and knows how to hook up a trailer and knows how to, get a car started. I'll take that guy over the skinny yuppie in the city who...
I'll take that guy. I'll take that guy too, because you can shoot him in the leg, and all of a sudden, all the zombies are going to start running after him.
That's the old thing, right? Like, I don't have to outrun the zombie; I just have to outrun you.
That's right.
They're not fat; they're famine-proof.
But no, I would like to think that I am, and I would like to think that all of us are sitting at this table right now.
I'm going to say something controversial. You guys ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. Do you know who sucks in the zombie apocalypse?
Who's that?
Who just sucks and who's going to hold a lot of people down. This is why a lot of married guys are going to end up dying in the zombie apocalypse, is the American/modern woman.
Uh-oh.
They're done. They're done.
I thought you were going to say liberals, but that's pretty close.
No, liberals too. Liberals are done. All of a sudden, there's no...
Ed, we're getting along so well tonight, too.
I'm sorry, but this isn't... And people are going to be like, oh, yeah, yes, it is, Josh, you're sexist. No, I'm actually not sexist. This is not sexist. Because...
It is, but it's true.
It's sexist to a degree, but it's actually not sexist. It's anti-culture is what it is, because the zombie apocalypse is breaking out all over the world here, right? I don't think women...
Hold on, I'm getting the camera just on you for this one.
I don't think women in India are zombie fodder. I don't think women in Japan or China or Korea or Israel are zombie fodder. I think they're doing just fine, just like the men. But in the Western world, the American woman, the European woman are done.
Isn't Japan closer to the Western world than they are the Eastern world?
No, I don't think so, actually. I mean, they are in some aspects, but I feel like there's a inherent toughness about some of these cultures that maintains even throughout Western influence. So I truly do think that these are the people that can't cut it. These are the people that... And there's men too, but I mean, women, I just look at the women in my life that I love. There's no way they are going to hold you back. It's going to be a disaster. And I feel like a lot of guys are going to, a lot of American men, a lot of European men, and this is a noble thing here, okay? They're going to die because they're going to, like, I gotta go save my wife. I gotta go save my kids. And that's where you're gonna die. Because you're going for this thing, and the person who is going to not be able to get past their own cultural norms, and I feel like a lot of, I'm sorry, again, call me sexist, it's fine, I feel like a lot of modern women in the Western world won't be able to do that. They're going to need we're about to run out the door. The zombies are coming. Did you get the pack and play? Like, where's the kid gonna sleep? Like, boom, you're dead. Zombie just ate you. Like that, and I feel like that's an issue here. Some of these people I'm describing are brilliant people, hardworking people, awesome people, but you suck in the zombie apocalypse. You're done. You're done. I feel like there's going to have to be, when does it come to the point where it turns into Nam here and you got to be fragging people who are just holding back the group?
You're the insane person in the zombie apocalypse.
I might be. I said I was going to be good, right? I'm listen.
He's
we're
the
all
Shane.
We're all
might be the Shane.
We're all pulling our own weight here. Your old lady's got to go. She's holding us back, all right? I'm trying to build a fire, and she's still whining about treated wood being burned. I'm making some food here. I'm gonna feed us. Like, you gotta get past these things that you think are important in your life. these things that, like, oh, I don't eat that. I don't do that. I don't, like, no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You gotta take what you can. You have to be able to put together what you can, and you have to be a survivor. You have to be a survivor. That's the number one thing. It's not like the best fighter or something is the best guy in the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, he's good to have around, but he's gonna die because he's crazy. You gotta be a survivor. That's what the zombie apocalypse is about. So here I am. It's a zombie apocalypse show. We're being goofy. We're talking about potential stuff, and I still manage to just offend 51% of the population, and they all hate me now. But you know what? A lot of people would hate me in the zombie apocalypse but a lot of people would love me too.
Well, zombies don't care about women's rights, so.
Right, they don't. They don't. Which, well, maybe they will, because all the liberals will become zombies, so maybe it'll carry over. But I just feel like there's a lot of dead weight here in the U.S. And in Europe's worse.
I would like to think that, feet to the fire, stuff like that isn't an issue anymore. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that that's going to become the case with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Maybe not everybody, but I would like to think.
I feel like some people just couldn't get over it fast enough. Not that the people I'm talking about don't have the potentiality to get over it. I just feel like they'll be dead before they can get over it.
Maybe
in any apocalypse doomsday scenario.
Maybe you're right. I happen to think though that push comes to shove, that people will have their priorities a little bit more in check.
And
when it comes to something like that.
And know this too. I know I called out the chicks, right? I called out the women. I'm a misogynist bastard, all right. But I actually know quite a few women who are outdoorsy type people who aren't like that. And that's not who I'm talking about. These are not the women I'm talking about.
Right,
if you're that guy, like, hey, I go hunting with my wife. She's great. I mean, my wife grew up on a farm. My wife, I'm probably not talking about you.
Ed and I,
you know who I am talking about.
Ed and I obviously know your mom and your sister.
Yes.
So your mom, zombie fodder.
Yes.
Your sister, zombie fodder.
Yeah, and it'd be a shame too, because my sister is a extremely skilled nurse, and she'd be a great medic. Yeah, I mean, she would be a great field medic, but
so you're saying they will be worrying about the stupid things?
They might be, yeah. I don't think they would. I don't think they do it on purpose.
No,
but they would.
So your dad and your brother-in-law would be dead.
They might be, and they would both be great zombie survivors, but there's no way in hell they would. They would leave their the love of their lives behind. I mean, they just wouldn't do it.
Would they do it though? Well, especially in your brother-in-law's case, would he do it for the sake of his kids though?
Do what? Oh, leave behind his wife. I doubt it. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he got out before and she was trailing behind, perhaps. But but I just don't see certain people in our society, and I think a higher percentage of women more than men would be able to even take the first step into roughing it zombie style.
See, I would think people with kids would have a much more difficult time.
I think their want to protect their kids would inevitably be their downfall. They would be so concerned.
You don't have that though. You're gonna throw them to the zombies.
No. I'm not throwing my kids. I'm not throwing my kids to the zombies.
I don't know, Josh. You're kind of descending here a little bit. I'm thinking.
I mean, no. Hey, I would definitely.
Is it me or them? Well, it's got to be them.
I'll definitely protect them over myself for sure.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I mean that is for sure. But I think my kids would be. I think my kids would be decent. I think they could, handle it. My oldest daughter, she's pretty girly, in a good way, but she's a little outdoorsy too. She's a camper. She's an archery expert. She'd be all right. She's she's a survivor. She's a survivor.
Oh, that's another weapon too.
Bow and arrow's
Bow and
great.
arrow.
Yeah, bow and arrow's good.
It's gotta be crossbow.
If you're good with it.
Crossbow. Yep. Arrow.
You know, I mean, it depends on if you're good with it. If you are good with a bow and arrow, it's just as good and just as deadly as a crossbow.
I mean, if you're Legolas, I guess. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, you reload a bow. I mean, crossbow takes a lot of reload time. A bow and arrow
aren't they
does not.
sort of automatic though? Or you, some of them, no,
Not really.
no. Okay.
I mean,
I've never used a crossbow.
It's pretty tough to. I mean, it's not like insanely tough. You know, it can be done, but I mean, a bow and arrow, your reload time is much better if you get a whole quiver of arrows.
So what's the advantage that it's more accurate?
Yeah, with the crossbow for sure, it's more accurate and more deadly too. I mean, you have to have the force of the arrow being shot depends completely on the power of the bow, but the power of the regular bow you have to be strong enough to pull it back.
So who's
You can always up the power, but you can't necessarily be strong enough to pull it back. With a crossbow, you don't have to worry about that.
So who's Orlando Bloom's character in Lord of the Rings? Is it
Legolas.
Legolas. So you want to be near Legolas during a zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, it'd be good. But even so, with that, you will run out of arrows. And they're easily made, but you can't stop in the middle of a zombie fight and make more arrows.
The only real advantage of that over a gun is that it's quiet, potentially. Because if you're going to pick between the two and noise doesn't matter, you'd probably rather have the gun.
Right. And also, if you have limited resources, you can chop down a tree and make how many arrows?
Yeah. Or retrieve them after you shoot a few zombies, potentially.
Right.
Like Daryl.
Where you can't necessarily, although you may know how to reload bullets, may know how to make bullets, doesn't mean that you have the means to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to make bullets and know how to reload bullets, but I can't just make steel out of thin air. You can't just create this stuff and gunpowder and everything else. One thing that's better about a bow rather than a crossbow is that sure, a bow may have the perfect type of arrow that's good for that bow or good for something like that, but a bow can pretty much shoot any arrow. A crossbow can't necessarily shoot any arrow. It's got to have the right crossbow style arrows for it. So that's something to think about as well. Not that a crossbow's a bad weapon for it. No, a crossbow's pretty sweet. Crossbows are nasty too. They're deadly. They're deadly accurate, and I mean, in a lot of ways, it is the best case. The best parts of a gun and the best parts of a bow and a crossbow, for sure. But if you're good enough with a real bow and arrow, and I'm not, I'm a terrible shot with a bow. I mean, I am. I admit it. I'm terrible. So I'm not your guy. But I know some people who, with a bow and arrow, are deadly. Are just totally deadly. So it's something to think about. So what is it? What do you think? You got 3 weapons. I mean, hopefully in the best case scenario, you have more than this. You can have your choice, but you have 3 weapons. That's all you're ever going to have in your zombie apocalypse. What do you have?
Katana, baseball bat, machete.
Oh, so there's no guns at all for you.
No guns at all.
Wow. I mean, so you had no projectile protection.
No, I don't know how to shoot them.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's true. Okay. I mean, what do you think, Ed?
I don't know. I'd have to go katana, bow and arrow, and then some sort of small handgun whatever one I had the most ammo available for.
Okay. Yeah.
What's a gun for a good gun for a beginner, Josh?
I mean, a shotgun's always good. But we discussed the limitations of a shotgun. I mean, if you had something like a AR-15 with high capacity, that's a good long gun. A 9mm, although I hate 9mm.
Might not be bad in this
But
scenario.
9mm, you're going to be able to find that ammo all over the place.
Okay, give me a 9mm then. I'll put that in place of the machete.
For 9mm too, you probably want to go like Glock or Beretta, something that.
Which one's cooler then?
I think Glock's cooler, but they're both pretty cool. Beretta's that's like the Die Hard gun and the Mission Impossible gun. I mean, you've seen that in movies. That's a very cool gun.
Look, give me the 9mm, the coolest out of the one.
Yeah, I mean, not that there isn't great ones out there, but you want something that you're going to be able to raid an old house or raid a gun shop and find a bunch of magazines for, or something like that. Like some of my favorite rounds, I love 10 millimeter. That'd be awesome. That's what I want to say, is that a 10 millimeter. But you're going to run out of that, and you're not going to be able to find bullets for it. So I would go with, thinking, Glock 45, large frame. A Glock 40 small frame, because it will fit all the different magazines that they make for it. So then you're being able to pump that in, and a katana blade. Because then you have the ability to shoot both of those guns at the same time. Not with heavy accuracy, or better, in a better case scenario, you're shooting them one at a time with high capacity and high accuracy, very low ability to jam. These are not guns that jam, they're good guns. That's why a revolver is kind of great to some degree, because revolvers just don't really jam, but you're really limiting your capacity and your load time is really slow. You can get a speed loader, you can load it pretty damn fast, but still nothing compared to dropping and popping a magazine.
That's what Rick has. Yeah. He has the revolver.
Yeah, I mean, revolvers are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I mean, in the best case scenario, I got more than 3 weapons, and then you're thinking about it. But I only got the 3. I'll go with 2 semi-auto pistols and a katana blade.
If you're carrying around, a dozen or 2 preloaded magazines in your backpack, you're probably feeling pretty safe that you're going to be able to.
Right. I mean, and you have those weapons, you can still run with them. If you need too many bullets, you should probably be running away at this point. So that's what I'm thinking. Something like AR-15 though would be pretty sweet too. AK-47, some of these classic semi-auto, or people think of them as full auto guns, but the full auto is a waste of ammo completely. Semi-auto guns with high capacity, that can be pretty sweet. That could definitely come in handy.
I agree.
But all right, we mentioned this briefly, but is a high potentiality of a zombie apocalypse, does it involve military weapons gone wrong, or government mistakes, or government things done on purpose? Is there an Illuminati aspect here? Is there some aspect where somebody's doing this on purpose to wipe out a population control, something along these lines, controlling the population, but it goes wrong. Kind of like you guys have seen Serenity, right? Or the Firefly show. That's the idea that the crazy reapers on the outskirts of space. That's what happened. That was a government thing that they were trying to make the people docile through things pumped into the air, chemtrails, this kind of idea. They're trying to make people docile, but it goes wrong and makes people so apathetic that they are now animalistic. Is there some aspect to this that people are scared of, or am I just stretching, or what?
I could see it as part of like an end of the world scenario. I don't think it would be in total, and it would probably be in conjunction with a lot of other things, like maybe wars, maybe some nuclear bombs going off.
Country weaponizing some type of virus or something.
Yep, yeah, something they have the antidote for, trying to spread basically widespread fear and panic in a way to kind of draw everybody in and control them. But I don't see it taking over as, oops, we didn't make the antidote right and it mutated and it looks like we're all dead. I don't think that would going to happen.
I think, not going on the aspect that it was government caused, or this is something that the government was striving for. I believe that this is a zombie apocalypse. Apocalypse would be something that the government would be able to suppress somewhat easily. However, as far as how it could occur, I like the idea of don't like the idea, but I tend to favor the idea.
We all like the idea. It's a giant reset button. We want it to happen.
I tend to kind of drift towards the the I Am Legend theory of somebody trying to develop a cure to something, and then that all of a sudden going wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong, because the original was the Omega Man. Wasn't that nuclear fallout?
The original is three movies have been made off that book.
Oh,
the
okay,
book
so
is called I Am Legend. The original is Last Man on Earth, I believe it's called, with Vincent Price. Then Omega Man with Charlton Heston is also based on that book, and I Am Legend with Will Smith. So all three of those movies, you got the Vincent Price, the Heston, and the Will Smith, are all based on the book I Am Legend.
So I vaguely remember the Omega Man, but wasn't that more of a nuclear fallout, radiation or something than the actual virus?
Yeah, all three of them kind of tend to focus on what was scaring us at that time.
Okay.
During in that particular decade, but yes, okay. the Omega Man definitely is surrounds around that. To be honest with you, it's a cool book, and I cannot believe that I cannot remember the name of the author who wrote that book, who wrote I Am Legend. I've read a lot by this guy. I feel like an idiot that I can't pull it out of the air right now, but none of them are like the book.
Richard Matheson.
Yes. Richard Matheson. Great book. Very cool book. Short book. Not something fun to read on a weekend, on a rainy weekend or something, But none of them are like the book. Really, they are all based on the book, supposedly. But none of them are, I guess you could say. Perhaps the Vincent Price one is closest. I don't know. The Charlton Heston one is the farthest away.
Okay.
But doesn't mean it's the worst. It's just the worst movie. It's just it's definitely the farthest away. In the book, they are vampires. Mm-hmm. They aren't your traditional vampires, but he calls them vampires in the book. And there is a kind of cultural twist to it, involved in the book, and it's more of a horror book than a sci-fi book. And, and it actually, it's a cool book. It wasn't trying to anything, it's a story. It's a fiction story. It actually deals a lot with the main character. It actually deals a lot with his alcoholism. It's actually a big part of the book because he's all by himself and he just becomes a drunk. He's just, he's very depressed and he doesn't know what to do, and he's, so that is actually a big side part of this book is, the main character's alcoholism, and just it deteriorating his, both mentally and physically. Cool book. I liked all the movies. They're all cool in their own.
I've just seen I Am Legend.
They're all cool in their own right. I don't want to give away the ending to it, but the ending of the book is a bit of a twist, and it's not a twist that they have ever gone with in the movies. They all go a different route. That book, I think, is a good segue to why zombies and not vampires. Is vampires a thing? Nobody ever talks about a vampire apocalypse. It's more like vampires are like a hidden away. They don't ever take over. They just are running things behind the scenes. Do you guys think that's a fair thing to say?
They're afraid of the sun, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Can you manufacture vampires too?
Well, in the Blade movies they do. Right?
I didn't see the Blade movies.
In that it's more of a virus than a...
I don't know, the Red Cross seem like vampires. They call me every day.
That's true. That's a good point.
I don't know.
That's the problem with you guys being all vegetarians and healthy is that they want your blood. And Red Cross is never calling me.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. Never thought of the vampire aspect of it.
Yeah, because I was always more of a vampire fan than a zombie fan. But
it just seems like there's...
Is that just too supernatural?
I guess. With vampires, or not vampires, but zombies, there's always an epidemic or a virus or something like that, something that humans are very used to, or
susceptible to.
susceptible
it's more apocalyptic.
Yeah, as opposed to vampires when we think about beings that have been around for thousands of years, and I guess there's a basis to vampires as opposed to zombies, which can be anybody, and I guess there's the only origin for zombies is a virus.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Twilight kind of ruin vampires too? Like
I
it took
think it
something
might have.
kind of cool and just was like, look at how not cool it can be.
Yeah, it did. And there's that whole zombie.
Give The Walking Dead a little more time; they'll do it with zombies.
They're already doing it.
Do you know what one of my favorite things I ever saw when it comes to the zombie apocalypse thing is The Onion did an article. This just cracked me up, man. But The Onion did an article, and they had like some goofy pictures, like fake pictures on there and stuff. And they did a thing where it was like, hey, the zombie apocalypse happened yesterday, but it was no big deal. Pretty much everybody was ready. Just go through it, just like yeah, it broke out, but for the most part, everybody was ready, and we killed the zombies, and no big deal. Back to life as usual.
That's another good question to bring up, though, too, Josh. Is how ready do you think are we as a society? I mean, if a zombie apocalypse were to break out tomorrow, how ready would we be? Do you think we would be able to suppress it, or do you think it's something that
I do actually? Yeah,
Okay.
I actually think we'd be ready. I mean, sure, it could be a lot of casualties, but there's a lot of people here and a lot of countermeasures. I feel like as much as I'm not a big government guy, if you guys know how much I dislike big government, I feel like. And I think government sucks in a lot of ways, and I think it's very inefficient. I think for the most part, they'd be like, "All right, well, let's send out the military and kill some zombies."
Or they would just drop a bomb on the area and blame it on a foreign country.
Yeah, or even if they didn't, I mean, maybe that would just be like, "Hey, we have to write off these dozen cities here, and we're gonna drop a nuke on them, and we're gonna call it good." Yeah.
That's actually what they did in The Walking Dead. They just really didn't show it. They showed it in a flashback when Atlanta was getting basically napalmed. But
they showed a little bit. Did you watch Fear the Walking Dead?
I only watched the first season. I haven't.
It's a horrible show. But the first season they kind of went into that with the LA being militarized.
Did they? Okay. Yeah, I assumed. And then there's that book. They turned into a movie, just like anything. What was it? There was something wrong with the water supply, and it was the Crazies.
Oh, I thought it was Aaron Brockovich.
No, but the Crazies. A government plane crashes and it's carrying some type of virus, and it gets into this town's water supply, and it ends up turning.
Sure, you're not talking about Aaron Brockovich?
it ends up turning people into basically, as it says in the title, crazy people. And
I saw that, right? It's Julia Roberts keeps showing off her bra straps and stuff.
But they end up dropping an atomic bomb on this town in Iowa. So
Iowa? Oh man, it's not Ottumwa, is it? The video game capital of the world?
I don't know. Maybe
Home away from home?
Maybe
that's where the breakout started.
Oh damn! There's a lot of good peeps in Ottumwa, Iowa.
Well, it was because of all the people spending a decade in their parents' basement, and when they finally came out, they had the disease and started spreading it around.
Yeah. Well, that may be the vampire thing there, though.
But it didn't actually. The bomb didn't actually kill anyone. It just got everyone to go back in the basement, and everything was fine. Good movie.
I tend to agree with you though, Josh. I think the government would be pretty prepared for, especially
I think so too.
Especially United States.
It's because the government isn't incompetent; they're just malicious.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ed. I actually do think you're right. That's I'm paraphrasing here, but that's the old Mark Twain question. Mark Twain says that the government is either extremely stupid, like are they totally inefficient and ignorant, or are they malicious? And quite frankly, I don't know which one's worse. But I mean, that really is the question, because the things that government does you can't help but think, like, they can't possibly be that dumb. So what's the answer to someone can't possibly be that dumb? The answer is they're not. They're not that dumb.
Nope.
They're doing it on purpose.
Yep.
You know, that's yeah, no, that is a legitimate question, Ed. I don't know. I mean, well, you know what, Ed? Before we break into some of the other deeper stuff, we talked to Adam. What's your plan, man?
Mine's actually kind of similar to Adam's, except I would be heading out southwest. My grandparents own a home basically in the middle of nowhere that actually would be, even from overhead, you couldn't see because it's like a hobbit hole. So
Okay.
it's like, so it just look like a hill.
So they live in the Shire.
Yeah, basically.
Awesome.
So if, you know, if the stars align and I'm at home and I have a full tank of gas and I'm able to do it, I'm heading out there, and I guess that would be my plan. And
You know, my thing too is here. Earlier I'm bragging about how great I'm going to be in the zombie apocalypse, but truth is, I used to have a home that was good for the zombie apocalypse. You know, I used to have one. Now, you know, through different happenstance in my life, I'm back to apartment living. Not exactly where you want to be when the zombie apocalypse breaks out. It's an apartment in a city where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Although I'm not like in the heart of the city. There's, you know, fields everywhere, and there, you know. So I'm not.
You're in a suburb,
right? I'm in a suburban area, but it's not the greatest situation. So I mean, being on a third floor apartment like I am isn't exactly where you want to be. You gotta kind of hope that you can hold off where you're at for a couple of days.
better be a third floor than it is a first floor.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. So, you know, if I can hold out there a couple of days, then yeah, I'd, you know, head somewhere. I'd want to head towards water.
28 days later, father and daughter actually hold up pretty well in a high-rise apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
okay. It's not totally bad.
No, it's not. It's not. And hey, and I will, you know, give you know, my big weakness, like you guys mentioned, is I got 4 kids, and they don't have the same mom. So I got, you know, if they're with me, awesome, and they're with me a lot. But if they're not with me,
they're with their mom, you just assume they're dead.
Yeah, I mean, well, or you know, you go try to be heroic and go get them. But you know, that's quite a mission. You know, what's the best zombie car? What's the best zombie vehicle to have? What do you want to what are your hot wiring? What are you getting to? What are you trying to...
For you, it's a minivan, isn't it? If you're going to fit everybody?
Yeah, but I mean, you don't need to worry about seatbelt laws anymore, so...
I guess they're small enough you can fit them all in a car.
Sitting on laps isn't the end of the world. I'm not, you know, worried about...
if you have 5 adults, maybe not.
Yeah, worried about car seats or something at this point.
I don't know. I mean, are we talking obviously something reasonable here?
Yeah.
I would like, you know, something...
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, a Humvee would be amazing, but, you know...
Humvee would be amazing.
But that's not really doable.
Something with 4-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger, sits off the ground a little bit more, so you can kind of run over shit and not have a hand or an arm or something.
Sure.
You know, kind of...
There's one vehicle that I really love. I used to own one of these. I don't anymore. But one vehicle that I love that has its definite limitations because it's open air, and that leaves you susceptible, is like a Jeep Wrangler. Something like that. You know, you got 4-wheel drive, it can drive anywhere, it's small, so you can still go in and out of things, and it's very workable. Any idiot can get a Jeep Wrangler running, you know, and when the parts go bad, you can figure it out. You know, it's doable. You can bypass things. So like an old Jeep with a straight 6 to me is great. It's quick enough to get away from things. They're usually manual transmissions. You can monkey with those, you know, push start it if you need to get things going with that, you know. So I love that vehicle, even though it's open air. It does leave you susceptible to something coming in.
But you're probably going to... There's going to be several good vehicles, what might be a good vehicle, and it's going to change as time goes on. I think actually the initial one, assuming your group isn't too large and you know how to ride one, would actually be a motorcycle, because what's the biggest issue you're going to run into when everybody's trying to get out to the country is that it's just going to be completely deadlocked. Yeah, exactly. If you're on a motorcycle, you can weave in and out
and
of
the
stuff,
roads are there. I
Yeah.
mean, sure, you want 4-wheel drive, but it's there. I love a 4-wheeler too.
4-wheeler wouldn't be bad.
You know, a 4-wheeler or even like the side-by-side 4-wheelers.
Mhm.
That's an excellent an excellent choice as well. Another thing great for transporting, like you talked about, like a minivan or something, because I got a lot of kids. A pickup truck
Mhm.
would be better, really. You know, I mean,
Throw it all the stuff in the bag.
you know, it's free floating, or a big van or something like that. But a 4-wheel drive pickup truck is really is a great option as well.
No, I agree. I think I'd like the idea of a pickup truck, something like I said that sits off the ground a little bit more, and obviously would have 4-wheel drive. But
Yeah, I mean, like my Mustang, pretty useless.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Cool, sure, it's fun, and you don't need to worry about going 90.
No.
You're running away from zombies, not from so.
not from cops.
Right. You can make your argument for your Mustang or your sports car in the in the robot apocalypse, perhaps. But and that's the other thing too. It's got to be something. The vehicle you drive, it's got to be a little older. You don't want to be dealing with all this new tech. You don't want to be dealing with. I mean, that's true in the robot apocalypse even more, because they're tapping into your non-mechanical interface. Or
So if it's a robot apocalypse, you'd want something probably
90s or earlier.
90s or earlier.
And then
Let me
even
say-
in the 90s, don't grab a Mercedes or a Cadillac, because even that'll have
A computer inside of it.
right. So you want to stay away from that. You want to stay purely mechanical.
So anything.
Model T.
Yeah, right. They're pretty slow though. Hard to drive, Driving those Model Ts, man, and some of those older cars, you might think you know how to drive a stick, but you get in one of those, this isn't that Dodge Neon you learned to drive stick on. This is those clutches are a little touchy back then. But hey, it's very mechanical though. You can get there. Top speed on a Model T is about 40, and I don't like that. I want to be able to get somewhere. I want to be the last one to raid the grocery store. But I don't know. I feel like these are important things to be kicking around. What's something we didn't talk about is...
Well, we have somebody asked a question here.
Okay, sure. What's up?
As a parent, would you try to protect your child or children if infected?
Wait, if we were infected or they were infected?
I
I'm
feel
assuming. I'm assuming if they were infected.
You know what? I feel like that's a really great question. And I feel like they are asking it as though it's one question, but I feel like there's actually two questions there.
Mm-hmm.
Because are you protecting your child or are you protecting your children? Because if one child is infected, no. I got 4 kids. If one of my children is infected, I think you do have to make the choice to write them off and protect the other 3. Or protect the other 1. Or protect the other 2. Or protect, whatever you have. I mean, if you know for certain that you can't cure the infection, then yeah, I think you do have to. That's no longer your child.
And depending on how this progresses,
Good question.
if it's like the Walking Dead, where you might have a day or two for it to go through, it's not like you just bullet to the head, kill them right then. You maybe wait as it gets closer, sort of thing. Like you're not.
You gotta wait and see if there's actually an infection. That's
Sure.
happening.
Yeah, if they didn't just have a fever for the day or something like that.
Sure,
Well,
of course.
okay, by Tuesday I gotta have them off, sort of thing. But also keep them away from your other kids.
Right.
In the meantime.
Right. Absolutely.
I wouldn't. I mean, they actually revisit something like this in The Walking Dead, where when the governor holds his daughter
Mm-hmm.
in the
I've seen that episode. I've seen one of those episodes where that was
I think in the show it's his daughter. I think it's in the comic. Isn't it his niece that's a zombie?
I'm not sure.
I think I may be wrong, but I think that might be the
He has
case.
her quarantined in a room somewhere.
Yeah, he has her in a room. She's chained up, and he sits there. He'll brush her hair and talk to her and everything, and feed her. I couldn't do that. I would,
Well, he had that other guy working on a cure, right? His scientist guy.
Yeah,
he was hoping one day, and he was going to bring her back. And
Yeah, I'm working off the assumption though that there is no coming back from this. So I mean, I couldn't see my kid or my wife, for that matter,
No, I
zombified.
It's easy to say this, but I think I am capable of the put somebody out of their misery.
I'm
really
same
do.
thinking.
If they're gone, they're gone. You gotta view that as that's not your kid anymore. It's not your wife anymore. It's not your cousin anymore. It's not your friend anymore. That's you gotta.
Well, I'd no issue offing you, Josh, if you're a zombie. Just so you know.
Hey, do you know what I would? Okay, this is something I've debated with my cousin, not Ed, but one of my other cousins, Nick, who used to be on the Majors Live with us and used to be on the XCast with us.
Oh God.
But this is something I've debated with him for years. Okay, now if all right, we're all there. The zombie apocalypse has happened, and I'm infected.
Yeah.
Now Nick, when we've talked about this, he's like, no, you got to shoot them in the head immediately. They're dead. But to me, if we're all there, we're all protecting ourselves from the zombies, and I'm infected, and I ask you guys, like, hey, I know I'm infected, going down, do me a solid, don't shoot me, don't kill me, give me a katana blade, and I'm going to run out there and kill as many zombies as I can before I die.
you can still have value and use.
That's what I mean. To me, if someone says that, I am going to say, okay. Because they say, well, Nick's argument, and it's a good argument, is no. Because you're a zombie. You're going to be a zombie.
Wields katana.
But he's saying that no, because I let you live now, and you're going to be trying to eat my brains tomorrow. You're going to be trying to eat my brains next week. You are nothing more than a potential zombie that I have to kill later. And my argument is a sheer numbers argument. It's, if I can go out there and kill at least 2 zombies, then even when I become a zombie, I've helped the cause.
Would you kill yourself?
Well, no, because I would imagine that I would if possible, but you got to imagine that you're going to turn into a zombie and then you're not going to want to kill yourself. But now I'm a zombie, and I'm out there. But I killed 3 zombies, hopefully more, but I killed 3 zombies before I died, so I brought down the zombie population, even though I'm a zombie,
This entirely depends on the zombie situation, because if it's like The Walking Dead, you get sick and feverish, and you can you'll be like bedridden before you turn, so it's very obvious that person's not going to just turn and then turn around and bite you. You're going to be able to basically have a time to put them down.
Right, and that's what I'm thinking is okay, I know I'm going to be a zombie. I know I got it. Well, I'm still halfway able to move. I'm going to go out there. Let me live. I'm going to go out there and try to kill as many zombies as I can, and then inevitably turn into a zombie.
No, like you said, if we're talking about the Walking Dead type of zombie, I agree. I agree with you. Let you live until you get to the point where you are just about to turn, or not turn, but just about to die, and then you'll turn, because then I'll be able to do it myself. Or if you knew you were getting ready to die and you wanted to do it, then you can do it yourself. You could put a gun up to your head and shoot yourself in the head. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
That's the thing. I wouldn't want to take a gun with me necessarily, because that's taking a gun away from
everybody. You have too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you going out by yourself though. If we're talking Walking Dead here, I'd still want you to be in the group, because I would want to see you reanimate and then have me kill you, or you kill yourself before that happens. Because if you go out and you become a zombie, then you can, go and infect a bunch of other people.
Right.
Other than that, though, I mean, if you've already given up on hope that they are, you've recognized, he's not Josh anymore, he's just zombie, then why have to like there's this need like out of respect for the person to put them down. If you've already come to the conclusion they're dead, and maybe they end up living and they're a zombie and they spread it around, but in the process they killed dozens of other zombies. Isn't that kind of a fair trade? Or
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Just a pure numbers game.
Like,
it's like, okay, now you're turning this person over. He's going to become a zombie. That's one zombie, but if you're confident that he can kill at least two, then you're no worse off.
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I agree with you. The only thing that I'm saying is that I wouldn't want you to go off on your own.
Now, what would be great if you could rig up some sort of, it wouldn't take a huge bunch of technology, if you could rig up some sort of like cell phone bomb and put it on the person and just let them turn into a zombie, and then they'll congregate with the other zombies, and a week later, you blow it up.
Yeah.
Kill him and whatever other zombies are around. That to me is a great scenario. And you probably got old cell phones lying around. What else are they good for?
Nothing in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, and I know the cell towers aren't working, so we're talking you got to like rig it to where you can.
You need to be able to charge it too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so you couldn't do a week.
No, it'd have to be pretty quick.
Yeah, 48 hours or something.
Unless you're able to get a generator and some fuel.
Yeah. Which shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be too hard to get gas in the zombie apocalypse.
After a while, it will be because gas deteriorates and lasts something like 18 months, I think it is. So
in theory, but I mean, they say that, but shit. I mean, I've gone out and started vehicles that have.
I've had gas sitting around in my gas can for a really long time.
They do say that, and it can go bad, but I mean, you're talking. God, I mean.
Well, eventually,
I've had old gas that I, throw in a beat up old, riding mower and poured it in, it fires right up. You
could sit here and siphon out cars on the side of the road from a long time.
And I've known people that have had an old, beat up car or maybe a classic car in their garage. Like, I haven't started in years, and they walk out there and fires right up. So I mean, in theory it could, but I feel like gas is. Well, it's all right. It'll hang around. You can use it. And the cure to bad gas in a lot of cases. I'm no mechanic. The cure to bad gas in a lot of cases is just like put more gas in. I mean, and it'll kind of like power through, and your car will run like shit, but it'll run. I mean, it will run, especially in an older car too. That's the thing. In a newer car, you could run into more problems. Even though newer cars are superior in a lot of ways, that's going to be a thing. If you got an old straight 6 or an old V8, these are the engines that are going to run, and that's the engines you want to be looking for when you're looking for this. I mean, V12 would be great, but those are pretty rare. But V12, straight 6, flat 6, and V8. These are your tried and true motors. These are your well-balanced motors that will run on things. You find an old Dodge 318. I mean, shit, you can pour orange juice into the oil and the thing will run. I mean,
maybe the really good vehicle you want for a zombie apocalypse is a really nice Schwinn bicycle.
Hey, you never know, man. It could help.
Or if you're traveling alone, or if you got somebody else, maybe a tandem bike.
Tandem bikes are really cool. They're really fast too. You ever ridden on a tandem bike?
No.
Oh man, when I was a kid, we used to go up to Mackinac Island. My dad and I.
Everybody bikes up there.
Yeah, and you could rent tandem bikes, and you could get those things going so fast. It's ridiculous. We'd be like,
injure yourself if you fell off really bad.
Yeah, I mean, my dad and I we're talking, my dad was like, late 30s, 40-ish or something. Good shape still, my dad's still in good shape. He's 60, in his 60s, but, my dad would, ride it, and I was, late teenager or whatever. And the thing is, the guy in the back doesn't have to pedal, but it does accelerate. So, I would literally just sit there on the back not even look. I just look down and just pedal my ass off. just pedal like crazy, like a madman. And then my dad's pedaling too, and he's steering. And you could get those things going. So people would get pissed at us because we'd be like cutting people off and stuff, swerving through people on Mackinac Island. But those tandem bikes, man, those you can get. I'm not kidding, man. You get those. Those things are awesome. Get those things going so fast. Yeah, I know I digress, but tandem bikes are the shit.
Yeah. People aren't going to be raiding the bicycle shop.
No.
Go get yourself a tandem bike.
They're not.
You can have one person pedal, the other person aim and shoot. I mean, that could be pretty.
What about a unicycle in that sense? Then
No, terrible.
both arms, both arms available to sit there and shoot.
Okay, a unicycle is terrible. And first of all, okay, riding a unicycle is hard as hell. But one thing you should know that it's hard to ride a bicycle with no hands. But it's still easier to ride a bicycle with no hands than it is to ride a unicycle.
Don't some unicycles actually have like little training wheel things? So it's more like it's not just one wheel. Like they have stabilizers.
Well, you can for practice. Yeah, I mean just like a bike and training wheels. Yeah, for practice.
But okay, so you don't do it out right off the bat. You wait for most of the zombies to get killed, and then when you're worrying about the other people, if they see you riding up with maybe you've got just like just put like a suit on and like a top hat and you got your shotgun and you're on your unicycle, they're going to be so shocked, like, what the heck is that? And then you just take them out and it gives you the element of surprise.
Good point.
That's awesome.
Good point. Here's a deep question. Here is a very deep question. Although you answered your preferred weapons. You never answered your preferred weapons. Give me 3.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Oh, I did?
Oh,
yeah,
I thought you did.
I'd say katana, a bow, and some small sort of handgun.
Okay. No, that's so 9mm 45, something like that.
Whatever I had a lot of ammo for.
Yeah, 45 you don't get quite the capacity, but you get knockdown power, and you'll be able to find that ammo.
Mm-hmm.
357 too, but that you're not going to get that in semi-auto, unless you get a Desert Eagle.
I don't know if you'd want to use that though, because you'd be deaf just from shooting the thing.
That's true. That's true.
I mean.
That is true.
That comes up in probably every was a CPL class. The Desert Eagles might look sweet, but they're horrible self-defense weapons.
And it's not so much the Desert Eagle; it's the round itself. If you've ever shot like that's why they always say that small revolvers can be very good for other reasons for personal carry, but they always say that a revolver, especially like a 357 or something like that, is not a good home defense weapon because it's so loud and it's so bright that if you shoot one of those in your house in the middle of the night, I mean, now you're deaf and you're blind.
That's true of a lot of guns because you're shooting them in the dark. And I know my Ruger 357 isn't, but not necessarily for those reasons because it's not very accurate. Unless you're right there, I might miss you.
But you're probably going to be. You're probably going to be right there, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you wake up in a home defense situation. You're tired. You're groggy. You're scared. You woke up, and now you're going to shoot something, and you're deaf and you're blind. Keep in mind, though, the person in your house, they're deaf and blind too. Mm-hmm. So at that point, so you're not that worse off. I mean, the best gun for home defense is the one you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And same in the zombie apocalypse. The best gun is the one you're comfortable with. But
and how many walls is a Desert Eagle going to blow through? I mean, how many neighbors are you going to kill in the process?
Right. Well, a Desert Eagle isn't necessarily more powerful on the round than any other gun shooting that round. It's just it's a strange animal because you're taking what's typically a revolver round. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes a Desert Eagle special. You're taking a revolver round and manufacturing it to go into a semi-automatic gun. That's basically what a Desert Eagle does. But yeah, no, you're right. But no, good choices. I like the bow and arrow thing. I do. That can come in handy. Okay, here's something deep. Are we already in the zombie apocalypse?
Yes.
Have they poisoned our mind? Are we the zombies already?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Of course, the zombie says no.
I mean, just this idea that have we already been poisoned? Are we already mindless sheep? Just,
Mindless sheep to what?
to the television, to our computers, to our smartphones.
It's hard to argue against that, isn't it? I mean, you've seen the movie Idiocracy, right? It's almost like we're living in it.
Well, I think that's a different zombie that we're talking about here.
Oh, it is. It is most certainly a different zombie.
We're not talking about the cannibalistic.
But aren't many zombies or zombie movies or zombie shows, zombie books, aren't they analogous to
They could be.
us?
They could be.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they could be. I mean, are we? I guess I'd like to use the term more dependent on certain aspects that
Sure.
you may say that we're becoming a zombie too, but are we more dependent on technology more so than ever? Absolutely. Whether or not that turns us into are there negative aspects to being that type of zombie? Yes. Are there positive aspects to
Sure.
becoming dependent to technology? Yes.
Something we didn't talk about.
I think Ed wanted to chime in.
I was gonna
I'm
say,
sorry, go ahead.
I don't even think it's necessarily the technology that makes us the mindless zombies. It's the not thinking for ourselves.
The way
And
we use it.
Yep, exactly, the way you use it. Because the technology isn't inherently evil. Even something that might be considered like microchipping, that is inevitably going to happen to everybody. I actually don't think that that's evil necessarily. It's just the fact that any conceivable way you can think of our technology, it's probably going to be used that way, evilly. And
Evilly.
Evilly. Yeah, wrongly. However you want to say it.
No, but that's true, because truth is, only people with free will are evil or good. I actually don't like it when people say that something is evil. People say that guns are evil. Huh? They're actually inanimate objects. Only people are evil. People say that money is evil. Like, really? Money is evil? It can be used for evil. Tell the guy eating at the soup kitchen that money is evil. I mean, well, he might agree with you, but no, I mean, somebody donated that money and they did a good thing. You say that a brick is evil. Well, I mean, a brick can be thrown through a window, or it can be used to build a home. The brick is not evil. There's nothing evil about it. It's an inanimate object. It is 100% how it is used by evil or good people that makes it evil. Inanimate objects cannot be evil. Inanimate things cannot be evil. I mean, if you want to make an argument for a computer being evil or technology being evil, you're going to have to branch into the idea that they've become self-aware and that now they want to destroy you. But the computer itself is not. I mean, look at the internet. The internet can be used. It's given us limitless knowledge in the palm of our hand, or it's given us ways to share porn and get caught up in endless YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what it's done. I mean, it's not the internet that's doing it. It's you who do it. Mm-hmm. It's how you use it, and only how you use it. My theory. You know what? I'm not going to do this yet, because there's one more thing I want to get to. And if you guys want to jump in with anything we talked about, feel free to interrupt me. But one thing we did not talk about. Oh, go ahead.
I'll just say real quick, that movie that I mentioned earlier, Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies. Okay, very cool. I remember it now. I did not see it, but I remember that. Okay, cool. You said it was kind of cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's worth seeing. It looks like it's going to be a chick flick, but it's actually kind of a cool.
Okay, cool.
Warm Bodies.
Okay, one thing we didn't talk about yet, and I don't know if we want to say a whole lot about it, but we would definitely be remiss to not mention it, is mind-altering drugs. We got Flocka. We got the bath salts.
Bath salts.
People have taken these drugs and they have become. It actually will. I'm not a scientist, and I'm also not a drug user. I'm not somebody that can really, talk to this on a really intellectual level. But I mean, you have drugs that are actually altering people on a genetic level. They will actually do things to you that is irreversible. I mean, sure, you smoke a lot of dope, you can kill a lot of brain cells. You drink a lot of beer, you can kill a lot of brain cells. You can do things that mess you up, but it doesn't alter you on a genetic level to where it's actually done irreversible damage. It has actually changed you. But there are drugs that do this. The bath salts, for one, I know that's just kind of the street name for it.
Well, there's that incident a few years ago with that guy in Miami who took the bath salts, and all of a sudden he was eating
eating the face of a homeless man.
And the cop had to come in and shoot him.
Yeah. I mean, this is, you had cases of people, eating faces. You have cases of people taking these and murdering their families. I mean, semi-normal people taking these drugs and murdering their families. I mean, you can make arguments for other drugs, but typically you don't smoke a bunch of pot. You don't even you don't do a bunch of cocaine and then murder people unless you were a murderer.
Well,
unless you plan to murder them anyway.
Look at it like this, Josh. When you have mind-altering drugs, when you look at the zombie apocalypse as a whole and what zombies are as a whole, traditionally speaking, all the elements for that are already here, whether it's, a mind-altering drug,
for certain,
whether it's a virus, whether it's any of these other aspects that we've talked about tonight. I mean, they're all here. It's just the only thing that may be preventing something like this from happening is the idea of these somehow coming together, in the perfect sense. Where
nothing's happening in apocalyptic nature, but it's all there.
It's all there. It's all there. Whether or not it finds a way to fuse itself together is perhaps the next step in something like this happening. So, to me, mind-altering drugs is just another spoke on the wheel.
Sure.
When it comes to something,
and we're talking about things that have come out here recently that far surpass your regular LSD, your acid, your things like this, the traditional quote unquote party drugs. This is stuff that is heroin doesn't do this to you. Crack doesn't do this to you. I mean, these are drugs that are far beyond the traditional drugs that we were told not to do as kids. And it's scary stuff, man. Scary stuff. I have a theory on zombie apocalypse, and it's nothing ultra profound because Ed's already touched on this. And I kind of glazed over it actually when you said it earlier, Ed, because I wanted to wrap up the show with this.
Okay.
But I have a theory about this stuff. That why are people so obsessed with zombies? Why are people so obsessed with some of this stuff? And I think it's because although no one wants mass death or genocide or anything like that, people are obsessed with this because deep down we want this to happen. We do. we want this to happen.
Ed called it a reset button.
Yeah, exactly. Ed, you refer to it as a reset button. And the truth is that stuff is really screwed up in this world. And people aren't happy with the way their lives are being controlled.
Is this the next Noah's Ark?
And I feel like whether it's total bunk or not, people like to hear this because they fantasize about it. People want this because, and I view it as people are craving freedom.
Yeah.
They want to be free of this system that we live in.
They see that even though they may suffer great loss, including their own lives and everything, if that were to happen,
that means they are finally free. They
Right.
actually get that. Even if it's a great cost, it would still be worth it.
People say they want freedom. They act as if they don't want freedom, but truly they crave it. They crave it. It's actually the only thing that you really truly want is freedom and independence. But people won't grasp for it. They won't go for it because they would so much rather take the security of everyday life. They're so scared to let go of the security they have and jump towards the freedom. They won't have it. But if something were to happen, where it would thrust them into the situation where that's what it has to be, they crave it. People want the zombie apocalypse.
I think you could look at it like that with any type of apocalypse.
I mean, and if nothing else, Adam, if you think I'm going too far with it or something, if nothing else, it's glorified because a lot like a war movie.
Mhm.
You know, you watch a war movie and you think you want to go to war. You don't really,
No.
but it's glorified. It's there's glory there. There is achievement there. You know, people want the adventure, if nothing else. If you don't like me saying, you know, the freedom aspect of it, they want the adventure.
They realize at some level their lives are really boring.
Right, right. And they crave this. People are obsessed with this stuff, not because they really think it can happen, not because they think it's great cinema, but because deep down, it's what they want. It's what they want. So that's something that I don't know. I think it's worth saying. I really do. You know, I think that people deny themselves that truth in a lot of ways. You know, but what else, guys? You know, I mean, I think that about sums it up. Is there anything else? You know, we're running long. We usually do here on the Deep Issues programs, you know. So what, anything else you guys want to add? Anything else you want to throw in before we do our little wrap up here?
No, I think that I think I've covered everything that I think I want to throw out there.
Ed, anything else?
No, I don't think I really have much to add.
Okay, so I'll kind of ask the question. Zombie apocalypse, is this something we really need to be worried about? Is there any truth to this? Is there something that, you know, is this something that could really happen? Is this something you need to worry about, Adam?
Is it something that we need to worry about now? No. Is it something that can happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially as we continue to progress with medical science and science in general. Absolutely. I think that this is something that can happen in a bunch of different senses, whether it's very, very minor or very, very major. But at the same time, I believe that, you know, if the government isn't involved, and I have to put that out there as a disclaimer because Ed's sitting right next to me, that the government will be able to suppress it.
Ed, what do you think?
I don't think it's something to worry about. Like I mentioned earlier, I think if it happens, it's not going to be an end-of-the-world catastrophic thing. It'll be smaller scale, probably planned, and probably better executed than in any movie that you see, as in there'll be some sort of outbreak and it'll be taken care of. And it'll be a part of something bigger to draw people in.
Yeah, as much as I think this is a fun thing to talk about, I don't think this is a fear at all, to be honest with you. I really don't. I feel like if something were to happen like this, it would wipe us all out instantly. You know, I mean, we have nukes. That would be something that would happen. There's nothing you can do about that. So I feel like we could all be wiped out there. I feel like there's other things we need to worry about. But
Robot apocalypse?
Robots, yeah, perhaps.
Liberals.
Yeah. But no, I don't think this is a legitimate fear. You know, fun thing to talk about, not a whole lot more.
If it was a robot apocalypse, can't you just get a big hose and start mowing them down with the hose?
That's what I think. Do you know, my thing is with the robot apocalypse is, okay, you know, they're metal. The first thing we need to do if there's a robot apocalypse, somebody needs to invent lightsabers. I mean, that's really what we need.
Where can we get the crystals?
What about EMPs? Wouldn't that be like the logical
that'd be
kind of
cool.
like...
Yeah, EMPs. I like lightsabers myself. That to me is,
Well, I mean, after they're disabled, you can go in and slice
Right,
them.
I mean,
lightsabers would be cool.
yeah.
But you ever see that?
I don't know where to get the kyber crystals. We might have to do, we might have to do like Electrum lightsabers. The synthetic crystal. That's what I'm thinking. Like the Mandalorians use.
Isn't that what Kylo Ren used? Or did he actually have
Uh-oh.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's red, so I would assume it's a crystal.
Okay.
How would you stop the light from just going on endless? I mean, is there a way to do that?
I read a thing once to say that some scientists were saying about lightsabers. They're saying that like lightsabers are totally possible. It's totally, absolutely possible. Like you actually could create this thing that would contain itself, and you could like fight with them. They would hit. Like they would cut through anything but themselves. It's totally possible. The only thing you need to be concerned about is that you wouldn't need to fight with them, because once you turned it on, it would burn the face off of every single person, like within a mile. So, no worries.
Now having an actual lightsaber that would be badass.
Absolutely.
That would be
absolutely, absolutely. No, if I can, I will trade in the 3 weapons I mentioned earlier. I will trade any one of them for a lightsaber.
Would you trade it for a good blaster?
I mean, hokey religions and fancy weapons are no match for a good blaster exercise. Okay, the question I have for you guys as we wrap up webisode number 54L.
Oh, wait, one other thing, too.
Sure. What's up? Well,
I know Chewie has a crossbow, but it's really just a blaster, right?
yeah, it just shoots like hefty blaster bolts.
Okay.
The idea of like the Star Wars blaster is that it's a legitimate like hard projectile covered in the blaster laser. So it's kind of like you're shooting...
a blaster bomb.
Yeah, it's like you're shooting a traditional gun and a blaster at the same time. So it provides the knockdown power, but also does what a blaster can do.
But you're saying that's what the crossbow is?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
like Chewie's crossbow. Or, Cheerdamwe has one as well.
Okay.
And Rogue One. Okay, as we wrap this up, we had to eventually just, veer off into Star Wars because we're us. But, the question I have for you guys is, we already know what our next Deep Issues is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it second week of September. Hopefully Ed can be here, but he has, more important things at home that may keep him from this particular show. But hopefully...
And that may further wear him down during the zombie apocalypse.
Right. Yes. Ed does have another kid on the way, and God bless him and everything he's got to, be dealing with. But hopefully the scheduling works out, and he will be here for our next episode, because our next episode is the September 11, 9/11 conspiracies, 9/11, everything about it. Basically 9/11 conspiracies, to sum it up in a sentence fragment. So that will be our next show, second Tuesday of September, which happens to be September 12th. So it'll be right around September 11th. We saved it for this one. It got pulled out of Pumpkin quite some time ago. So the question is, do we go to Pumpkin today for our next Deep Issues, which won't be till October, or do we wait till next time? I'm thinking we probably wait till next time.
I don't think we want to overwhelm Pumpkin
Right.
with getting and get too ahead of ourselves.
Okay, so we will not be going to Pumpkin tonight, as we normally do at the end of our Deep Issues.
Is that okay?
He's not. His smile's not changing, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we will not be going to Pumpkin today. We'll go to Pumpkin for our next Deep Issue show after our next Deep Issue show, which will be September 12th, the second Tuesday of next month. So tune in for that, for our next Deep Issues show. But before that, we will have one more regular show of the XCast on September 5th. Same time, same channel. Don't miss it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Watch out for the zombies.
See ya.